Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Bundesliga show brought to you by Over the Bar. We're back with another Bundesliga fantasy football show. Joined by myself is Runa, as per usual. Runa, how are you doing this evening?
I'm very good, thanks. Ready for some fantasy talk.
Yes, absolutely. So this is going to be a shorter show, and it is a pre-record. So unfortunately, we won't be able to take any live questions this evening. We've got a couple that have already come in, so we will get to those, and we'll just go through defenders, midfielders, and strikers in this slightly shorter version of the show. Apologies for my appearance this evening. If I look a bit sweaty and a bit run down, I've literally just got in from footy, so that is my commitment to you all to ensure that we get the show out tonight. So a like would be great for the commitment. So on the show, you can obviously comment subsequently once the show has gone out, and then obviously we'll try and come to those in the comment section before Friday night's match. And of course, please do press the red button and subscribe to the channel. Go over to the Over the Bar Twitter page as well, because we're running a competition, another giveaway with surprise shirts this time. So go over to the pinned tweet on Over the Bar FB and check out all of that as well. So back to it, Runa. So we'll kick off with the defenders that you've picked for this week. So obviously starting with budget, then mid-price, and then premium, which are all going below at the bottom of the screen.
Yeah. My budget pick this week is Julian Ryerson from Dortmund. Unfortunately, he was ruled out last time at short notice due to illness, so nothing we could do about that. If we had him in our team, we couldn't know that he wouldn't play. But he's back in the starting lineup in the cup tonight. We are recording on Wednesday evening, so yeah, he's playing at the moment. And Dortmund have a nice run of fixtures now, and he costs just 6 million, and looks like he has adjusted well to his new surroundings after his move from Union Berlin. So I think at that price is very attractive. The only potential downside is that Dortmund might rotate a bit more now that they're playing in the cup tonight, and they have Champions League football coming up too. So that's a potential worry, but I mean, at that price, he's quite good, I'd say. And the same with Aurelio Buta from Frankfurt. He's received a lot of praise recently and been putting in some really good performances. But with him as well, there's a bit of doubt as to whether he will play every game or he might be rotated out at times. But then again, with players that are available at this low price, then you can't really go that wrong with them. It's easier to accept with a budget pick not starting. So yeah, moving on to my mid-price pick, Paulo Otavio from Wolfsburg, who is simply a fantasy beast, and he offers incredible value this week, in particular, I think, with Wolfsburg facing Schalke in a standalone fixture.
Yeah.
And he's coming off a 10-point haul against Bayern, despite the fact that they lost the game. Wolfsburg conceded 4 goals free while he was on the pitch. He also picked up a yellow card, and he still managed to pick up 10 points from that game. So that says something about the potential he has. And then finally, my premium pick is Christian Günther, who is just a real stable fantasy asset. I think he's the 6th most scoring defender this season, and he has 2 really good fixtures on the horizon, Stuttgart and Bochum coming up for Freiburg. So just an all-round solid pick that will surely get you a good amount of points in the weeks to come.
Yeah, absolutely. Nothing to worry about. Do we think from Freiburg's point of view, just obviously conceding a lot of goals at the moment, but in strike we trust. So I'm sure.
Yeah, I mean, last time out with Sildilia picking up that early red card, it was always going to be a really long game for them. And yeah, it makes a lot of sense that at some point Dortmund started scoring goals. But I think considering the upcoming fixtures, I would be pretty comfortable about investing in Freiburg, particularly when it comes to Günther and Grifo and some of the more expensive assets that will just perform week after week. usually at least.
Yeah, absolutely. So we shall move on to our midfielders then. So again, starting with your budget pick, which again looks like a very interesting option and a differential for sure.
Yeah, Arne Engels from Augsburg, who's available at 1.5 million. And for anyone who's seen Augsburg play in the new year, he's been a real revelation following his January move from Belgium. He's been great and better than a lot of people expected. I think the people in Augsburg at the club have been surprised about his how quickly he has settled in and how well he's been doing. And I think he's been a little bit surprised about it too himself. So, but yeah, he's been doing really well in central midfield. And last time out in Augsburg's 1-0 win over Leverkusen, he even took set pieces and set up a goal. So a really good pick if you're looking for like a real cheap option. And my mid-price pick is Patrick Wimmer, who has actually had 2 pretty quiet games recently, but I wouldn't lose faith in him yet. I think he's shown on several occasions what kind of a difference maker he can be.
For sure.
So having him in your team when Wolfsburg go up against Schalke in a standalone match could be pretty vital. So either him or maybe Jakub Kaminski, or I'll probably look at getting a Wolfsburg midfielder in for that game. Maybe Nemeka if he's starting in midfield. Felix Nemeka. And finally, my premium pick is Marco Reus, who, I mean, I think it's pretty clear that he still needs a bit of time to get back to his absolute top level after his long injury break. But we all know how good he is when he's on his game. And as I said when I talked about Reus, Dortmund have a pretty good schedule. So getting either Marco Reus or maybe Jude Bellingham or even Julian Brandt, who's been in great form, would be wise this week, I think.
Yeah, Dortmund going to be keen on changing a winning side, well, a winning Bundesliga side anyway, and focus on that charge. Do we think, or
as far as I remember, Reus is actually being rested tonight, which is a good thing when we're looking at the upcoming Bundesliga game.
Yeah, for sure.
And I also think they're resting a few other players. Just having a look, Schlotterbeck, I think too. Yeah, and also Guerrero is on the bench tonight. So looks like they're resting a few players, and definitely a good thing that Reus isn't playing tonight. Increases his value and chance of playing over the weekend.
Yeah, 100%. And then we shall move on to strikers before going through the few questions that came in on Twitter beforehand. So your 3 strikers, Rune, first and foremost.
Yeah, budget pick is Choupo-Moting, who should make his return from a stomach bug, and I think his low price just makes him very hard to overlook, considering his importance for Bayern. Really attractive home game against Bochum. So at 6.1 million, he's just a very good option at that price, I think, and very difficult not to pick him. Mid-price pick is Mikhail Gregorich from Freiburg. He's on 11 goals in all competitions this season, and I think he could be a pretty good differential. His ownership is 4%. Freiburg are, as we talked about, facing Stuttgart and Bochum in the next 2 games. So should be potential for him there, and could maybe grab a few goals in the weeks to come. And then finally, Randal Kolo Muani is my premium pick. Pretty self-explanatory. It's just impossible to stop him at the moment. Clearly, he's totally fixture-proof, at least with the form he's in at the moment. And he's just a player you need to have in your team right now, because everything he touches just goes into the net. Either he assists or he scores goals himself. So yeah, just a player in really amazing form.
Yeah, absolutely. What do we think to Gregorich not getting a start against Dortmund? Was that just a bit of a maybe well, obviously it was a tactical thing, but was it the right decision? Possibly not. But again, we look at the red card that maybe ruined that game from a competitive standpoint. But he should be brought back in, shouldn't he?
Yeah, he should. He's the only like real number 9 they have. I think they started with the one and Curé playing in sort of striker roles in that game. But also Strike said before the game that he wanted to rotate his squad ahead of the cup game. So maybe that's part of why he was out on the bench. But he started nearly every game this season, so I wouldn't worry about that too much. He was back in the lineup against Sandhausen in the Pokal too, and yeah, pretty sure he'll start.
Smashing stuff. Right. That's fantastic. So we shall now revert to a couple of questions that came in on Twitter. So thanks to Jay, aka FBL Gunnosaurus. So I'll start with his first question that I've got off my phone here. How good an option is Musiala for this match day with Kimmich suspended and Gravenberch doubtful? Do you see him moving back alongside Goretzka? Or will Bayern change shape again like they did in the Pokal? So quite a wordy one, that Runa, but basically, yeah, we're looking at how good an option Musiala is for the upcoming match week.
Yeah, I'd say he's a pretty good option because I expect Bayern to play a quite attacking formation and go out and attack, playing Bochum at home. It's a game that they don't need that much defensive stability. But with that being said, it's a valid point. I think the fact that Kimmich is out might mean that he could move back and play more alongside Goretzka. But then Goretzka would play the more defensive role of the two. Musiala would still make runs forward. There's also the possibility that they will play with 3 at the back, so they will line up in that 3-1-4-2 formation, which would see him play as an attacking midfielder. It's also possible that they could play like a 4-1-4-1 formation with him playing ahead of Goretzka. So I think considering the matchup and it's a game we clearly expect Bayern to go out and dominate, and they expect to have the most possession. I still think it's a pretty good game for Musiala.
Yeah, agreed. Bochum are a force to be reckoned with at home, less so on the road, and less so when they play against their friends, because they do have a friendship with Bayern, but it's not so friendly often when they play at the Allianz. I think it was 6 or 7 last season, so it could well possibly be a larger number this weekend as well, but we shall see. And second question that we'll finish on then, again from Jay, was how many Bayern players should we have this match week? I'm expecting a heavy win considering Bochum's away record. I'll have Musiala, but is Thuram with Hertha away worth a transfer out to Chupo, or are there better Bayern assets to target? So obviously, again, more of a question around the Bayern squad and whether it's worth taking Thuram out.
Yeah, that's a good question, actually. I have Thuram in my own team. I brought him in last week, and he didn't live up to my expectations. But when I brought him in, I thought that I would keep him for 2 games because they had Schalke and then they had Hertha, and obviously selling him before a game against Hertha doesn't seem really reasonable considering the form Hertha are in at the moment. It's definitely a game where he could do very well. Playing as a striker against Hertha doesn't get much better at the moment. He's clearly not in the form that he was in the first half of the season, but maybe he just needs 1 goal to, for things to work for him again, much like Musiala did. Clearly, the goal he scored recently meant a lot to him and gave him some confidence. So personally, I'm leaning towards keeping Thuram at the moment. I only have Chupo up front right now, and I'm okay with that. Musiala is a pretty good option too, and so is Leroy Sané. But then again, I think Thuram could do just as well this week. So I'm pretty confident about keeping him. And what was did I respond to the full question there, or was there something else?
Yeah, it's just covering other potential buying assets, but I think we're quite clearly covered that anyhow. So that's great. We shall end it there then tonight. So thank you all for tuning in. I hope you enjoyed the show and found it.
I think I saw one more question actually about Alphonso Davies. Did you see that one?
Was this on Twitter?
Yeah, it was Fantasy Bundesliga or Trial Bundesliga.
Yeah, let's go to that then. Absolutely.
So I just thought I would address that. He said that he asked a question about Alphonso Davies and the possibility of him maybe moving out of the starting 11 and his position in the starting lineup being more under threat. And that's actually something I've considered too. Currently, I have both Davies and Cancelo in my team. And the thing is that when Bayern play the 3-1-4-2 formation, then he's actually competing with Kingsley Coman for a spot as a left wing back, and Coman has been in extraordinary form recently. So that is quite a concern for Davies. Then, I mean, he could move back and play as one of the three centre backs, the left one. That's a possibility too. In that case, he's competing with Benjamin Pavard. So clearly, he's not as nailed on as he was earlier in the season. But I mean, for now, I'm probably leaning towards keeping him and seeing what will happen, because selling him before a home game against Bochum, I mean, it is a risk. It would be a risk to sell him there, and I know it would really be a pain if he starts and does well in that game. So I'm currently leaning towards just to wait and see what happens. And I mean, if he gets rotated out on a regular basis, then clearly he's not worth having because he's really expensive. So, but I'm keeping him this week, I think, just to wait and see what will happen.
Sure, absolutely. Well, that's great. That was a good spot there, Runa, because I must admit, in all my excitement from getting back from football, I hadn't picked up that question. So very well spotted, and thanks very much for that. Trial Bundesliga, which is a fantastic name as well. So yeah, I think that is us wrapped up now. Hopefully we haven't missed out any other questions that have come in via Twitter. If we have, put them in the comment section afterwards, and we'll make sure that we come to them and we'll get them answered before the Friday night game kicks off. And please do smash a like on the video if you can. Obviously, it helps the video perform and get pushed out further into the YouTube stratosphere. And make sure that you subscribe to the channel so you don't miss out on any of these fantastic Bundesliga related shows and the FPL show as well. Just a quick point in the same direction, back to Over the Bar FB, to go check them out on Twitter, because there's another competition / giveaway being run with surprise shirts this time, and it is the pinned tweet. So make sure you get over to that for a chance to enter and win another giveaway that we have been running. But other than that, thanks all to you for tuning in and watching, and we shall catch you next time, which will probably be next week sometime. So thanks all. See you then.
Bye-bye.